Imagine this. It's 1:24 in the morning, Boston, Massachusetts, March 18th, 1990. The city is still awake. People are coming home from St. Patrick's Day celebrations laughing in the streets. But outside a quiet museum on the edge of the city, a car pulls up slowly. Two men step out. They are wearing police uniforms. They walk to the door. They ring the bell. A security guard looks through the intercom. Two cops responding to a disturbance. Nothing unusual. He lets them in. That single decision, that one moment of trust, will become the most expensive mistake in the history of art. What happens next is the biggest art heist ever recorded, over $500 million. Stolen in 81 minutes, and to this day, more than 35 years later, not a single painting has been recovered. This is the story of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist. And by the end of this episode, you will know exactly what happened. And you will have learned some of the most powerful vocabulary in the English language. Let's go. First, let's talk about the word heist. Heist. A heist is a carefully planned robbery, usually of something very valuable like a bank, a casino, or in this case, a museum. You will hear this word in movies, in the news, and crime podcasts. A heist is not just a robbery, it's an organized strategic theft. The Gardner Museum heist is the biggest art heist in history. Now, before we get to the crime, you need to understand what was inside that museum. Because this was not just any building. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum was built in 1903 by a woman named Isabella Stewart Gardner, an art collector from Boston who was, by every account, a force of nature. Bold, unconventional, obsessed with beauty. She filled her museum with some of the greatest paintings in the world. Works by Rembrandt, by Vermeer, by Degas, by Manet. And she placed each painting exactly where she wanted it, like pieces of a single enormous puzzle. When she died in 1924, she left one very specific instruction in her will. Nothing in the museum could ever be changed. Not a single painting could be moved. Not a single chair could be rearranged. The museum was meant to stay frozen in time, exactly as she left it. In English, when something stays exactly the same and never changes, we say it is preserved. To preserve something means to keep it in its original condition, to protect it from change or damage. Gardner wanted her collection to be preserved exactly as she had arranged it. And for decades it was. Until that night in March. Let's go back to 1:24 in the morning. The guard has let the two men inside. And this is where things move very quickly. The two men, still pretending to be police officers, tell the guard to step away from the security desk. They say they have a warrant. A warrant is an official legal document that gives police the authority to take action. In this case, they were lying. There was no warrant, but the guard believed them. The officers claimed they had a warrant to search the building. Then the men told the guard to call his partner, the second guard on duty that night. When the second guard arrived, the thieves acted fast. They handcuffed both guards and took them down to the basement. They bound them to pipes in the wall and covered their eyes. The word bound here means tied up, restrained, unable to move. When someone is bound, they cannot escape. The guards were bound and left in the basement. And then, the two men were alone in the museum, surrounded by $500 million of art, with 81 minutes and no one to stop them. What happened next tells us something important about these thieves. They were not art experts, and their choices proved it. They went straight to the Dutch room on the second floor. They cut paintings directly from their frames. which is something no professional would ever do. Cutting a painting from its frame damages it. It reduces its value, it makes it harder to sell. In English, when someone does something the wrong way, clumsily, without skill, we say they botched it. To botch something means to do it badly, to ruin something through carelessness or incompetence. The thieves botched the removal of several paintings, cutting them carelessly from their frames. And yet, despite botching the technical side, they were smart enough to take the surveillance tape, the film from every security camera in the building. Gone. They took 13 works of art in total, including a Vermeer painting called The Concert, one of only 34 paintings by that artist known to exist in the world. A Rembrandt, Degas sketches, and even a small bronze eagle from a Napoleonic battle flag. Then, 81 minutes after they walked in, they walked out. They drove away into the night, and they were never caught. Now let's pause for a moment and learn a key phrase. Get away with something. To get away with something means to do something wrong and avoid any punishment or consequences. You commit the crime. Nobody catches you. You get away with it. The thieves got away with one of the greatest crimes in history. And 35 years later, they still have. The investigation that followed was one of the longest and most frustrating in FBI history. Investigators looked everywhere. They interviewed hundreds of people. They followed lead after lead. And in English, a lead is a piece of information that could point you toward a solution. In a criminal investigation, a lead is everything. The FBI followed every lead, but the case remained unsolved. The FBI believed the heist was connected to the Boston Mafia, the organized crime network that ran much of the city's underground world at the time. One theory pointed to a man named Bobby Donati, a mob associate who had visited the museum before to scope it out. To scope something out means to study it secretly, to look for weaknesses before making a move. The suspects had scoped out the museum weeks before the heist. But Bobby Donati was murdered just 1 year after the robbery. His body was found in the trunk of a car. Whatever he knew, he took it with him. Other suspects emerged over the years. One man told the FBI he could get the paintings back in exchange for a reduced prison sentence. The FBI agreed. He never delivered. The paintings seemed to vanish completely. And in English, when something vanishes, it disappears suddenly and completely, as if it never existed. The stolen art vanished without a trace. Here's the detail that haunts everyone who enters the Gardner Museum today. Because Isabella Gardner's will said nothing could be changed, the museum could not simply replace the stolen paintings. They could not hang new art in the empty spaces. So instead, they made a decision. They left the frames. Right now, if you walk into the Dutch Room at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston, you will see empty golden frames hanging on the walls. No paintings inside, just the frames, silent, waiting. It is one of the most powerful images in the art world. Beautiful frames with nothing inside, like windows into a world that was stolen. In English, we have a word for something that serves as a constant reminder of something lost or absent. We call it a ghost. And those empty frames are exactly that. Ghosts of what once was. The empty frames are ghosts, silent reminders of what was taken. So, where are the paintings now? The honest answer is nobody knows for certain. The FBI has said, with a high degree of confidence, that they believe they know who carried out the heist, but identifying the thieves and actually recovering the art are two very different things. The museum still offers a $10 million reward. the largest reward ever offered by a private institution for stolen property, $10 million dollars. For anyone with information that leads to the recovery of the paintings. And yet, silence. One former FBI agent who spent over 20 years on the case wrote a book about it. He called the stolen paintings perfect fugitives. A fugitive is someone, or in this case, something, that is hiding from the law, impossible to catch. Unlike a human fugitive, a painting doesn't need a fake ID. It doesn't need to run. It just needs to stay hidden. The stolen works are perfect fugitives. They could be anywhere in the world. Now let's review every word and phrase from today's episode. Repeat each one out loud. Heist, a carefully planned robbery of something very valuable. The Gardner heist changed the art world forever. Preserved, kept in original condition, protected from change or damage. The museum was meant to be preserved exactly as Gardner left it. Warrant, an official legal document giving authority to take action. The fake officers claimed to have a warrant. Bound, tied up, physically restrained, unable to move. The guards were bound and left in the basement. Botch, to do something badly through carelessness or incompetence. They botched the removal of the paintings. Get away with something lies to do something wrong without facing any consequences. They got away with the biggest art heist in history. Lead, a piece of information that could point investigators toward a solution. The FBI followed every lead for decades. Scope out, to secretly study a place or situation before taking action. They scoped out the museum before the heist. Vanish, to disappear suddenly and completely. The paintings vanished without a trace. Fugitive, a person or thing that is hiding from the law or impossible to catch. The stolen art remains the world's most famous fugitives. 35 years have passed, the frames are still empty, the reward is still unclaimed. And somewhere out there, in a warehouse, a basement, a private collection, 13 masterpieces are waiting. In English, there is a phrase for mystery that has never been solved and may never be: a cold case. Most cold cases stay cold forever, but occasionally, decades later, something surfaces. A tip, a confession, a lucky break. The Gardner heist is one of the most famous cold cases in American history. And the FBI still believes it could be solved. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a comment below. Tell me which word from today was your favorite. Was it heist, fugitive, botch, scope out? Write it in the comments. In English. That is your practice for today. And if you want the next episode, the story of how a single man fooled the entire world with fake Vermeer paintings, one of the greatest art frauds ever, drop a comment that says, "More art crime." Because that story is even stranger than this one. Until next time, keep learning, keep going. The frames are still empty, the mystery is still open. If this episode helped you learn something new, hit the like button. It helps more people find this channel. And if you want more stories like this one, subscribe. Every week, a new story. Every week, new vocabulary. Every week, one step closer to fluency. See you in the next one.